Our sun is a plasma antenna. All suns are plasma antennas. Plasma antennas are used for communications, essentially. There are 7 classes of suns / stars. All suns / stars produce electromagnetic fields. And I would like to say here that this is as close as you are going to get in your lifetime to discovering the so-called secrets of the universe. And you have to have some kind of attention span. According to my YouTube analytics, attention spans on my videos are about 4.5 minutes. The stars are antennas, plasma antennas. The stars are also, it seems, optical antennas. They are a fusion of plasma antennas and optical antennas. And it's interesting that humans have 7 chakras in their auras, and I think each and every chakra is probably an optical antenna. Humans are optical antennas, the stars are optical antennas. The stars are also plasma antennas. We have a system of antennas inside antennas inside antennas. And that's not even the half of it. There are more types of plasma antennas and optical antennas than you could shake a stick at. They come in all shapes and sizes. And there are also fusions of these antennas. The internal and external, visible and invisible structure and dynamics of the planets and the suns are mere images of the dynamics of antennas. The electromagnetic rings of the planets are essentially radio transceiver coils. The electromagnetic field lines produced by humans are also the equivalent of radio transceiver coils. Humans are radio transceiver units inside the radio transceiver unit inside the Earth. DNA molecules are also radio transceiver coils. They emit electromagnetic fields. The electromagnetic field produced by the human body, organs, its DNA are produced by electrochemical reactions. The electromagnetic fields produced by the galaxies, the planets, are produced by motions in their cores, largely, which is something I will get into shortly. But we have a system of antennas inside antennas inside antennas. Electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields. The significance of this I will get to later. And let's look at the structure of a cell right here. Now, cells probably produce their own electromagnetic field. This is the structure of a spherical inverted antenna. I think cells are antennas, including the material inside the cells, the genetic material. Earth, the interior of the Earth is a mirror image, including its layers of a spherical inverted antenna. The stars are antennas, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. The planets, the suns, the moons, not only do they look like antennas and function like antennas, but they're also made like antennas, and they're also made of the same basic elements that antennas are made out of. This includes metal, plasma, both of which conduct electricity. But as you can see, the planets, the stars are antennas. The layers are layered like antennas. Antennas inside antennas inside antennas. And I know I am overdoing it on these images, but I want to get my point across. I would also like to add that the electric universe scientists are onto something. I've looked at some of their videos and I've seen the diagrams and animations, and there are no two ways about the fact that they are onto something, but they stop short of telling us what it all means and what our place is in the electric universe. The purpose of this video is to convince you that we live in a cybernetic universe, which is something I will get into shortly. But humans are also the equivalent of radio frequency identification tags. The human brain is the equivalent of the chip, the computer chip. The electromagnetic field produced by the body, the human body, or even the body itself, is the antenna. Humans produce an energy field. New Agers and so forth call it the aura, but that notwithstanding, Earth is also a radio frequency identification tag. Its core is the computer. The electromagnetic field produced by its core in the layers of the Earth, its convection currents and so forth, are the antennas. The Milky Way galaxy and the other galaxies are antennas / radio frequency identification tags. Their cores are the computer units. Their rings are the antennas. Actually, the cores are also antennas. But anyways, we have a system of antennas inside antennas. The Milky Way could even be a radio frequency ID reader, and you are being read as you watch this video. The stars that make up the Technoverse, including the organisms throughout the Technoverse, especially those that are sentient, are part of some kind of radio frequency identification network, and that is not even the half of it. The universe is some kind of control grid. More specifically, the universe is a cybernetic universe and a gigantic wireless computer sensor communications data mining and fusion grid, and that is not even the half of it. In the meantime, the structure and fabric of time and space and the structure of the heavenly bodies are mere images of technology, as we can see here. Not only do the technostructures that you see in this presentation look like the galaxies and planets and so forth, but they also act like them. They generate the same electromagnetic fields, using many of the same dynamics. The universe is a fusion of technology, of many technologies. Sensor technology, radio technology, computer technology. The electromagnetic fields produced by the galaxies, the planets, the suns, they're basically passing through all life on Earth and other planets in the domains of the respective galaxies and suns and planets. And they're picking up information on the organisms within their domains. These electromagnetic fields, I believe, contain information. In fact, all electromagnetic fields can store information. All electromagnetic fields can transmit and receive information. This includes the electromagnetic fields produced by planar spiral antennas, sensors, including biosensors. Now these are called microfluidic biosensors. I have yet to find any that are electromagnetized. These types of biosensors have a long list of applications, including biological sensing, chemical sensing, molecular separation, and other applications. There is also a theory out there that theorizes that the universe is immersed in some kind of fluid, and this just reinforces my notion that the galaxies are some kind of microfluidic biosensor devices. The stars, the planets, the moons, the living moons, and any organisms that are on these things are distributed throughout the galactic rings, just like particulates on a microfluidic biosensor. Now, some of these things have orifices where particulates and so forth pass through. Now, this is the same dynamic as the distribution of the black holes in galaxies. Now, black holes are some kind of orifices. They're pulling in information in one direction and spitting it out in another direction. But black holes are also gravitational and electromagnetic antennas of some kind. The gravitational and electromagnetic rings that are radiating outward in concentric circles from black holes are antennas. Black holes are some kind of antennas. The same thing as I already noted, so are suns and planets. The fabric of space is set up like in a bunch of antennas. The heavenly bodies are antennas. We have a system of antennas inside antennas inside antennas. These antennas produce electromagnetic fields. These electromagnetic fields are in part produced by the turning and churning movements of their cores. These cores are the equivalent of dynamos. These cores play multiple roles, not just as dynamos, I believe, but as sensor cores, computer cores, radar cores, and so forth and so forth. Now, these cores are very complex. They're made out of all the basic elements. This includes silicon as well as iron, magnesium, gold, silver, and other elements that are used to produce computer equipment, sensor equipment, radio equipment, and other technology. It was about the year 2000 when I had my epiphany about the cores of the Earth, and the living moons, and the galaxies and the suns being technology. And I recently found this Scientific American magazine cover from 2004. And that just helps reinforce my Technoverse theory. If the cores of the galaxies, including the core at the center of the Milky Way, if these things are really black hole computers, then we can deduce that they might also be sensors or antennas. In fact, if there are black hole computers, then we can deduce that the rest of the universe is made of bits and pieces of technology, including computer technology, radio technology, sensor technology, which brings us back to the fact that the galaxies are radio frequency identification tags, including the irregular galaxies and the elliptical galaxies, but they are also microfluidic biosensors. Now, microfluidic biosensors and antennas, they can come in the same shapes and sizes, actually. In previous videos, I've focused primarily on spiral galaxies, but now I will discuss irregular and elliptical galaxies. This includes linear galaxies. We can see here their resemblance to the antenna structures. The highly elliptical and linear galaxies are basically gigantic antennas, including radio frequency identification tags, microfluidic biosensors. The universe is some kind of gigantic laboratory, in part, I believe. And the different sizes and shapes of the galaxies are consistent with the different sizes and shapes of antenna equipment, sensor equipment. This includes linear particle accelerators. And I already mentioned more or less linear microfluidic biosensors, which come in microfluidic biosensors, I think I've noted they come in all shapes and sizes. But the irregular galaxies, I believe, are also some kind of fractal antennas. Now, I really don't need to explain what fractal antennas are, because we can see for themselves. There's just these crazy antennas. Their irregular shapes produce omnidirectional electromagnetic fields. Irregular galaxies are also, I think I noted previously, are microfluidic sensor devices. The elliptical galaxies are also sensors, antennas, and so forth and so forth. The stars in the elliptical galaxies and the irregular galaxies are distributed like particulates or germs or something, anything, on a sensor chip. They're also distributed like antenna arrays. The stars are distributed like antenna arrays. We have a system of antennas inside antennas, sensors inside sensors, and that's not even half of it. We have a system of electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields. And this includes the electromagnetic fields produced by the suns. And while it is unlikely that the core of the suns are a computer core, they are some kind of radar magnetron core. The same thing could be said about the Earth. In the convection zones in the Earth and the Sun would be the equivalent of the resonance cavities in a radar magnetron anode, whereas the cathode would be the cores of the suns and the planets and the moons, respectively. They do the same thing, and they even look like it. Earth's magnetic belts are also more or less, if not explicit, mirror images of the belts of a radar magnetron. The mysterious core that turns and churns beneath your feet is a radar core. Radar is a form of sensor, by the way, as well as a form of antenna. Now, there is a special relationship between the core of the Milky Way galaxy, the core of the Earth, the core of the Sun, and the core of our brain. This is the same dynamic as a source relay destination system. We have a system of antennas inside antennas inside antennas. And this includes the antennas of our bodies, the organs in our bodies, our DNA. We also have a system of sensors inside sensors inside sensors. We have fusions of technology. Humans are sensors, planets are sensors, galaxies are sensors. Dynamics of the heavenly bodies that you look at in these technostructures are pretty much identical. We have a system of machines inside machines inside machines. Bioscanner machines, sensing machines. Now, although the magnetic belts of the Earth aren't nearly as strong as the magnetic fields of an MRI, the principle remains the same as a sensor unit. Earth is also a cyclotron, and there are no two ways about that. Earth is some kind of particle accelerator, and the cyclotron motion of Earth's Van Allen radiation belts help protect the Earth from the Sun, by the way. But the Milky Way galaxy is also some kind of cyclotron/particle accelerator as well. So are the other spiral galaxies. Earth is a machine inside the machine of the Milky Way galaxy. Earth is some kind of particle accelerator, inside the particle accelerator of the Milky Way galaxy. What we have is a system of machines inside machines in which humans are just another set of machines. The living planets and moons are machines. The galaxies are machines. And there are no two ways about that. They are fusions of technology. The planets and galaxies and so forth are made of the same metals as these machines. They also do the same exact thing. Let's look at this image in detail right here. I've broken the planets in the Milky Way down to their basic components, and all I see is pure technology. It is also significant that the very fabric of space and time itself is a mirror image of the substrates used for sensor equipment, computer equipment, including antennas, the layers of the galaxies, the sequence of the layers, even the appearances of the layers are mirror images of sensor equipment, antenna equipment. One of the reasons why the human race has not figured out that the universe is technology is because the bits and pieces of technology that make up the universe are so large and abstract that we don't even recognize them as technology. Even the layers of the Earth, as well as the sequence of the layers, the geochemical composition of the layers. The same could be said for the layers of the galaxies. I think silicon makes up a significant proportion of the atomic matter in the universe. And most electronic equipment is loaded with silicon, not to mention iron and other metals and oxides that are found in computer equipment, sensor equipment, and so forth and so forth. The electromagnetic fields produced by the planets and the galaxies, I don't doubt, are passing through the organisms in their domains and picking up information on these organisms. Any way you analyze the internal and external structure and dynamics of the planets, the living moons, the suns, and the galaxies, you will see technology. You will see fusions of technology, sensor technology, computer technology, communications technology, and a long list of other technologies that make up the Technoverse. Solar systems are fusions of technology. Earth really is some kind of strange computer drive / sensor unit, which is something I will get into shortly. This X-ray image is just something I threw in right off the top of my head. The solar systems seem to be some kind of X-ray unit. The suns take X-rays all day, every day. The core of the Earth would probably be some kind of detector plate. But hard radiation from the sun is basically bombarding and passing through all life on Earth, including X-rays. The sun could basically serve as any type of sensor technology that uses the forces of light and magnetism. The sun plays multiple roles, largely, I believe, as a computer write head, as well as some kind of sensor head that manipulate DNA, as well as organisms at large. The sun is a machine that generates the forces of light and magnetism. The forces of light and magnetism are used in computer equipment and sensor equipment for the purpose of respectively reading and writing digital information, as well as manipulating genetic information, including DNA. DNA are transceiver coils, by the way. DNA produces an electromagnetic field. The billions of DNA molecules inside the billions of cells inside your body are radio transceiver coils / antennas, literally. This means that you are, in part, a radio transceiver unit. The DNA cells in your body are also radio transceiver units. The organs in your body are also radio transceiver units. DNA is also computer code, by the way, all of which generate electromagnetic fields, especially with regard to magnetic code. But we have a system of electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields. But the system of electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields is the same setup as a source relay destination network. If you look at this particular image and think about it, bearing in mind our bodies produce radio frequency signals, we are probably being simulated or modeled somewhere in the universe. Your electromagnetic field is the medium through which you are likely being tracked by the engineers of the Technoverse, some kind of ETs perhaps, or even God himself or itself, or whatever. These electromagnetic fields resonate and oscillate with the electromagnetic fields produced by the Earth, the Sun, the Milky Way. The solar system is some kind of behavioral modification grid in which the forces of light and magnetism are used to modulate the behavior of the organisms on Earth. In fact, scientists have known for years that the forces of light and magnetism, as well as gravity, affect the behavior of organisms. Correction, scientists believe that the forces of gravity affect the behavior of organisms. Some scientists also believe that the forces of gravity can harbor and transmit information. Either way, the solar system is a machine for producing the forces of light and magnetism, as is the universe at large. For those of you who have seen some of my other videos, some of this material may look familiar, and that's because I reuse some of this stuff when I can. It saves me a lot of time. The Earth is the equivalent of a spherical petri dish or microscope slide. The Earth, more specifically, is a near-mirror image of what is called an optical magnetic microsphere resonator spectroscope biosensor. These spherical biosensors use the forces of light and magnetism as excitation and analytics agents, and they also are used to modulate the behavior of the organisms and cells inside these spectroscopes. There are many different kinds of spectroscopes with many different kinds of applications, but generally speaking, they are used by doctors and scientists and so forth to study the interaction and the behavior of organisms and cells at the minutest level, as well as modulate the behavior of these things. The solar system is a mirror image of a computer drive or biodisk drive. The forces of light and magnetism are used as analytics agents and excitation agents. The forces of light and magnetism can also read and write information. Solar systems are machines that generate the forces of light and magnetism, as is the universe at large. Earth is part of some kind of computer drive, biosensor drive. It's not out of the question that humans are avatars, are remote biosensors for some kind of engineers of the Technoverse, or for the engineer/god of the Technoverse. Some people out there actually believe that we are the stars and that we might even be avatars of ourselves, which is something I will get to later, perhaps. But in the meantime, there are no two ways about the fact that humans are biological machines. Our DNA is the computer code, the software, our bodies are the hardware. Humans are computers, machines, and it is more than likely that the behavior of humans and other organisms are affected by the electromagnetic field produced by the Earth, the Sun, and perhaps even some of the outer planets, and even by the Milky Way galaxy at large. Let's have another look at the spectrographic nature of the Technoverse. The universe is also a spectroscope made of quadrillions of spectroscopes. There are more types of spectrography than you can shake a stick at out there, but our solar system and all other solar systems are spectroscopes. We have a system of spectroscopes inside spectroscopes, and this includes the spectroscope of the human eye. The planets in the solar systems play multiple roles. The suns also play multiple roles, which is something I will get into later. But the interior and exterior structure and dynamics of the living planets and the moons and the galaxies and so forth are mere images of the structure and dynamic technology, biosensing technology, communications technology, computer technology, and other technologies. And the suns play a major role. The suns play multiple roles. For example, computer read-write heads, optical magnetic read-write heads, lasers, cathodes, light-emitting diodes, and other roles that the suns play. The luminous planets with the big rings seem to play the roles of optical pickup diodes, including gamma and X-ray pickup diode. But the geochemical composition of these planets are basically mirror images of the chemical composition of pickup diodes. The universe is set up to enable the engineers of the Technoverse to study the organisms throughout the Technoverse and manipulate these organisms. This manipulation is facilitated through the antenna component of our bodies, and this includes the electromagnetic fields produced by our bodies, our organs, our DNA, all of which exist inside the radio transceiver unit of the Earth and the solar system at large. all of which exist inside the radio unit, probably relay unit of the sun, which is a plasma antenna, all of which exist inside the antenna of the Milky Way as antenna elements. This includes the suns. This includes us. The sun is some kind of router or relay unit. The planets exist inside. The planets are antennas that exist inside the antenna unit of the sun. We are elements inside the antenna unit of the sun, of the Milky Way, of the Earth. We have a system of antenna elements inside antenna elements inside antenna elements. We have a source relay destination system here. I'm going to start wrapping this up by saying that the solar system, all solar systems, are some kind of transceiver array, sensor array, computer array, and so forth and so forth. The same thing could be said about local clusters of galaxies. Most of these heavenly bodies have some kind of central node. I am going to have to cut this video short because after X amount of material on this thing, then my CPU starts to run out of power. But we live in a system of networks. The stars are antennas. And it's very interesting that there are 7 types of suns, which are antennas. There are 7 chakras in the human body. Humans are antennas. If humans are avatars, humans might be avatars of the stars themselves, or at least influenced by the stars. The stars might be sentient, and they might be influencing the human race via our electromagnetic fields. I really am not going to go into any details, but we have a system of antennas inside antennas inside antennas. The solar system is some kind of relay network. The same thing could be said about local clusters of galaxies. And there are no two ways about the fact that the relationship between the core of the Milky Way, the core of the sun, the core of the earth, and the core of the human brain, which is called the pineal gland, is some kind of crazy relationship. And I say this without an ounce of superstition or mysticism in my head. The universe is some kind of photonic communication and teleportation or transportation grid or something to that effect. As I attempt to reconcile metaphysics with mainstream physics, let's bear in mind the organization of the stars around the Earth. And just let's compare some of these images without me using a bunch of big words and phrases. The organization and structure of the universe are some kind of optical photonic networks. The organisms in the universe are part of this network. The stars are machines. The stars are machines in many forms. The stars are networks of machines. The stars are fusions of technology, communications technology, sensor technology, computer technology. The technology that makes up the Technoverse is absolutely exquisite. And I believe that sentient beings make up a very important part of this Technoverse. It's hard to say if humans are actually autonomous, but I think the human race is under the grip of very powerful forces, including the grip of beings that are technologically superior. But the universe is some kind of optical photonic monitoring control grid, and so forth and so forth. There are no two ways about the fact that the structure of the stars, the composition of the stars, the dynamics of the stars, and so forth, render the stars part of some kind of optical / photonic technological network that defies the imagination. Let us have another look at the electromagnetic field produced by humans, by the Earth, and by the Milky Way. Bearing in mind that humans are radio frequency identification tags, planets are radio frequency identification tags, galaxies are radio frequency identification tags. And let me even further strip away the mystery of the universe. The universe is an RFID printer. Welcome to the mystery of the frickin' universe. The natural dynamics of the universe essentially produce, in part, radio frequency identification tags, including the organisms, the planets, living moons, galaxies, all of which produce their own unique electromagnetic signatures. Now, I really don't know if it is significant that we have 7 chakras, 7 different types of classes of stars, 7 continents. But if humans are avatars, this is the technology for it. This is how it's done. And the core of the Earth is some kind of, we already discussed this, antenna, relay, or what have you. But the core of the human brain, as already discussed, is the pineal gland. It's called the third eye by metaphysical types, astrologers, and so forth. But fluoride is in most of the world's water supplies, and fluoride damages the pineal gland. Most governments use fluoride in their water supplies, and if they're not using it, then fluoride leaks in through industrial contaminants. I looked it up on the internet. Most water supplies, municipal water supplies, are contaminated with fluoride. It's interfering with humanity's so-called third eye. But anyways, all these contrails that the conspiracy theorists have been babbling about, I've seen them myself. And these things aren't crop duster airplanes, by the way. These airplanes are laying out material, and there are no two ways about that. Now, some people think these chemtrails are to help block UV rays and counteract the effects of global warming. But other people think that there's chemicals in these chemtrails that are making us stupid by lowering our IQ. Whatever the case, the entire planet's contaminated with industrial chemicals, and industrial chemicals are linked to lower IQs. Now, this brings me to say that I believe that the New World Order, there is some kind of controlling force, whether it be solely from this world or an otherworldly force, doesn't matter. The people who own and control most of the world system, if they are not extraterrestrial monsters, they sure act like it. And it's not a matter of who controls the Western world system, because everybody knows that it's these blue blood elites. You know, they're members of these arcane organizations, including mainstream organizations, banking organizations, trade organizations. So it's not a matter of who controls the world. It's a matter of if their control is acceptable. And I personally think world leaders, or at least a shadow government behind most world leaders, are psychopaths. But that notwithstanding, humans are slave species to either gods of this world or gods of other worlds, or maybe both. Just like the Christian Eucharist is just a form of cannibalism that was distilled over the years. We, as a species, are literally the equivalent of farmed livestock or laboratory rats. We are numbered or branded, registered, licensed, insured. We're essentially under surveillance from cradle to grave by the corporations, the government, and I could go on and on. But we live in a certified, bona fide United Police States of corporate America, striving for a United Police States of the corporate world. Mainstream science is its own worst enemy. Mainstream science will not embrace anything that contradicts status quo theories. Too many scientists have a stake in the status quo. And if they try to produce any theory that contradicts the status quo, they're likely to have their careers destroyed. Something is going on behind the scenes, I believe. And I believe that it is a power grab. Not a power grab because these assholes are already in power. What they are trying to do is consolidate their power and lock themselves into power indefinitely in some kind of system where we have socialism for the rich forever and ever and ever, and at least until an Armageddon that will be caused by these rich people. Most everything you were raised to believe are myths, lies, legends, lores, and fables. And one of the biggest fears of the ruling class is one of these days the human race is going to wake up and clean house and get those fucking psychopaths out of fucking power before they destroy the goddamn world. And there is no two ways about that.